People, abeg una lis ten to this guy. Na good morning. This guy thank cry. Una lis ten to am. He say analyze Peter Obi.
Okay, listen, pay attention, Akebul, and pay attention, my people. You have seen the news. Yesterday, we got a variant report concerning a major political figure somewhere in Africa, in Nigeria. What seemed to be an assassination attempt was meted on a major political figure in their country. But thank Christ, not surprised, because I've seen that somewhere before. I saw it last year in Uganda, when Bob Wine was manhandled and maltreated by the state apparatus under the auspices of Museveni. We saw it in Uganda. So it's not surprising for us to see it in Nigeria yesterday. You see, what happened in Nigeria is not really about politics. Neither is really about politicians. Dan Cryer is not here to tell you about politics or about politicians. I am here to tell you about a pattern that I have discovered in Africa. A very deadly pattern. You see, what happened in Nigeria and what happened in Uganda last year is not about election problem. It's about a political, cultural problem. Let me teach you. You see, in Africa, leaders are being defined by their ability to make violence on another. That is what Africans define as a political strategist. That is what Africans define as a politician. Your ability to use violence on another. That is what average Africans define as political strength. But let me teach you something. You see, what happened in Nigeria is bigger than just a politician, bigger than politics. It is a pattern. It is a pattern that has shown that politics in Africa is slowly becoming something else. Politics in Africa is no longer seen as a competition of ideas. It is now seen as a cutthroat competition, a do-or-die affair. Our political arena has become a tug of war, where politicians can now do whatever it is just for them to hold power. Why is this so? It is so because election in Africa is no longer seen as a handover of responsibility. It is now seen as access to reputation, access to opportunity, access to the resources. So, when one loses in an election, it sees it as an exclusive. It sees that his right has been taken, that you are taking away his mouth from the milk of the nation's treasury. So they do everything possible to retain power. That is the pattern we have seen in Africa. The pattern we have seen in Africa is that politics is no longer about competition of ideas. It's now about identity. We versus you. Entities now own political figures. And when politics becomes about identity, what happens is that arguments are now interpreted as betrayal. And betrayal is what justifies hostility. When politics is about you versus us, society will no longer pay attention to political violence. That is what happens in African politics today. But you see, this political violence is not really about politicians. It's about the message it passes to the society. What is the message? It passes a message that politics is dirty. Politics is dangerous. And when decent citizens begin to perceive politics to be dangerous, they shy away from politics. Great thinkers shy away from politics. And when decent citizens and great thinkers shy away from politics, what happened is that political innuendos, political desperados, and political extremists get into the center of politics. Only them will dominate politics. And when only political desperados, political innuendos, and political extremists dominate political arena of a nation, what happens is that that country is going to collapse. You need to understand that when political opponents are now being threatened and being seen as enemies, what happens is that that country can never achieve good governance. Because when leaders are being chosen through fear, such leaders will eventually lead the people through fear. When politics becomes about life and death, what happens is that that becomes the beginning of the death of democracy. Africa, you are gradually getting into something that will be difficult to come out from. The electorate must wake up, take hold of their country, because a cutthroat competition can never give birth to a good leader. But it will be wrong for you to point accusing finger on what happened yesterday in Nigeria. It will be wrong for you to point at a particular politician or a particular political party saying you are the one that led this assassination attempt. Because in Africa, we do not call a man a thief as long as he has not been caught in the act. But we judge a man's character using his previous record and antecedent. But even with that, we don't call the man thief. What we do is that we look at the man and say, you are not a thief, but when you pass, things disappear. And when I described this to someone yesterday about African political system, the person said to me, Tankraya, good people in African politics are more than bad people. And I gave him the words of the African philosophers. I said to him, if the righteous many do not confront the wicked few, evil will rule this world. Akebulan, evil will rule this world if we, the righteous many, do not confront the wicked few. The righteous many must rise and confront the wicked few, hence evil will rule this world. Akebulan, evil must not rule this world, for wisdom must be seen as the principal thing. Akebulan, wisdom is the principal thing. Evil must not rule this world. Evil must not rule this world. Akebulan, evil must not.